Welcome to the Every Day is a New Day podcast and live show, the inspirational show about moving forward and choosing to be more of you, transmuting the self-doubt and stepping into courageously aligned confidence in who you uniquely are. My name is Kim O'Neill. I'm a twice certified transformational confidence coach, Reiki master, best-selling author, and former crime analyst who now helps empathic, heart-centered individuals shatter the noise of self-doubt, find clarity on what self-love really looks like, and the courage to be peacefully grounded in who you've always known you are, from the inside out. Join me for the live shows on Facebook and YouTube, and visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com for more info. Let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce today's amazing guest now. Welcome, Jennifer Urezzio.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I know you're the type of person that we could talk forever. And so I'm just really kind of in the whole discovery of seeing where we go today.
Well, that's excellent because that's how I like to do it as well. And I know first conversation I had with you, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to be talking to this person. How did we connect? And I don't care.
I think Lauren Fritsch. I'm going to say Lauren Fritsch, but I could be wrong. No, Isabella Hunt.
Yes, that is it. Yes. Thank you, Isabella.
I love her too. But I love Isabel too. All great people.
Yes, all great people. Okay, so Jennifer, the way I like to do it is I want to go ahead and just give everyone a little bit more of your background. So I'm going to read your bio, and then we're going to get into our conversation. Okay, so for everybody who is just meeting the awesome Jennifer Urezzio for the very first time, she is the founder of Soul Language, a paradigm that puts tangibility to soul, so a conscious connection can be established to enable crystal clear decisions for success. Jennifer is also a master intuitive and the author of 2 best-selling books. Currently, she is which we're going to get the title from you on. Currently, she has trained over 20 practitioners worldwide in soul language. And at this time, there are over 5,000 individuals all over the world connecting to their soul languages. And so, Jennifer, I'm just going to start off with the very first thing. I already told you this was coming to mind for me. Soul language. I love the phrase. I think it's like, ooh, that sounds fun and exciting and deep. But really what comes up for me when I hear that phrase is the word intuition. And so, is soul language intuition? Is it something different? Will you share with us?
So intuition is really how your soul and your piece of divinity and divinity itself communicates with you. Okay. Soul language, what that does is it puts tangibility to the 3 core energies of your soul: your mission, how you feel that mission, and then your soulful personality, which means how your soul prefers to go through life. So I can give a one-liner to every soul on this business, and every business soul, that's a whole nother thing. And when you have that one-liner, that's your mild marker for consciousness. So intuition's great, but if you're not conscious with that intuition, it doesn't mean anything. And
that's so true.
I think people don't really realize. It took me a couple mentors to really understand that not always highly intuitive people were highly conscious people. And what I mean by that is consciousness means that you operate from a place of wholeness and completeness. And by tuning into your soul via your soul languages, because it allows your humanness to kind of put words to something that's totally intangible. When you have that opportunity to make decisions based on what your soul says, wholeness and completeness, you're making decisions in flow. You're making decisions with the understanding that you're whole and complete. And so the experience that reflects back to you is one of wholeness and completeness. And if I didn't have access to my soul this way and divinity this way, I would probably be on my couch eating cheese doodles at this time, because it's like coming home. It's such a profound sense of safety and certainty and access of, sometimes when people are hearing that intuition, which is their soul speaking that to them, they go, well, how do I know I'm not making it up? It's all made up, right? So by putting words to tangibility and I can give a one-liner to every soul on this planet,
Wow.
that becomes the mild marker. So if this is my one-liner, I create balance for myself, because it all starts at home, and for others through love, integrity, and courage. If I'm not being and doing that, I'm going to be suffering. Now, I've been on the path for a while, so yay me, my suffering is subtle and sneaky. It's like, right? It's like the pebble in your shoe. You shake it out and you put it on. You're like, what the heck? The pebble's still there, right? So having that access of not having to outsmart myself is key. And what people don't talk about is as you grow in consciousness, the ego grows too. Now, ego is not the evil character in our stories. Without ego, you wouldn't get off your couch. So, but its job is to really keep us in that illusion of safety. So by connecting via your soul languages, you're really helping align your humanness to your soul's direction. And that's extremely powerful.
Yeah. So it sounds, when you talk about that one line statement, it sounds kind of like your soul's mission statement.
Yeah. It's a little more complicated than that. But yes,
Okay.
the combination of your three languages. So it becomes that kind of understanding in a one line of who you are at the core level, right? So one of my soul languages is called Graceful Warrior. Now, most of my life, not graceful, at war with everything.
Okay.
And I know now when I feel like I'm making war with something, that is an indication that my human pattern, pain, and suffering is out of alignment with what my soul is really here to express. And that's the moment I go internally and go, okay, all right, Graceful Warrior, guide me, lead me, show me. Why am I making war with this? What pattern or experience am I stuck in? And I have that conversation and I talk with my soul and the divine who does the heavy lifting to move me out of pattern into consciousness.
So how does someone find out what their soul language is? And
So,
also it sounds kind of like archetypes. Does that?
here's the difference between archetypes and soul language.
Okay.
Archetypes do not transform, meaning they're fixed.
Okay.
Soul language definitions grow in consciousness. So as we grow, those definitions are changing and there's more elaboration to those soul languages. So as I grow as a graceful warrior, and let's just say for giggles, you're a graceful warrior, you can utilize what I know in the energetic field to pick it up and transform without even having to do the work. Right?
Okay.
So the languages grow in consciousness as our energies change and evolve. With archetypes, they're fixed. They don't change, right? The
Okay.
mother is always going to be the mother, and good and, the positive and the negative aspects, right? But with soul language, those definitions are constantly being updated. I will admit not as fast as they should be, but right, because I'm not up on, But so there are similar languages in the archetypes. So you'll have the nurturer. And the reason being is because the universe has been sending us this information to help us be more in our goodness. And as we evolve that information, we understand more of it. We understand more depth of it.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a question that might in some form take us out into left field. And if it does, just let me know. But also what's coming up for me as you're talking about, you can be a warrior. What was it? What was the phrase?
Graceful warrior.
A what warrior?
Graceful.
Great. Okay. So let's say you're a graceful warrior. Let's say I'm also a graceful warrior. You've done the work and I don't necessarily have to do the work because I can tap into the knowledge base, right? Of what you've already learned and stuff. What's coming up for me when I think about that is like Abraham Hicks or anybody who channels a collective energy that is not necessarily one being, but rather a group of beings or energies. Am I somehow on the right track? Or
so think of it this way. Think of divinity, God, universe, tree, Bob, cupcake, whatever you want to call that, the God goo, okay? Think of it as all of a sudden the God goo is separated into 107 different energies. And for your lifetime, you have chose to have a specialty in 3 of those 107 energies.
Okay.
So if you and I share that same energy, the particles are like this. And all of a sudden, in those particles of energy that we're all sharing, there's some more goodness. And you like, I feel good today. And you know what? That pain of when I was 3 years old, where Romper Room didn't say my name, doesn't bother me. I'm not even going to think about why. It just suddenly, that's what happens. Now, that's the good part, right?
Okay.
What happens is, and this is really key for empaths and all of that, in all of that energy goo, right? If someone is having a hard time, you all feel that too if you choose. And so when people are going, I just feel so bad and I can't put in, because you're feeling all the other goo and you can't process it or transform it because it's not yours.
Okay, well that brings up a whole other question. Okay, so are you saying if okay. I want to first go back to so how does someone find out what their soul language is?
Okay, so it's not a test,
Okay.
right? You don't fill out a survey. It's done through therapeutic kinesiology or muscle testing. So you need a practitioner,
Okay.
and that practitioner's body connects to your soul metaphysically, and your soul moves their body down a testing sheet. And every time it's done, we all hear the same thing. Oh my God, you just put words to what I know deep down inside. Oh my God, like I've been ignoring this, and wait, I can accept it. And I know when I identified my graceful warrior, I was like, oh, that makes total freaking sense why I do. Like, it was like, oh, that's why I'm a great manager down and I can't manage up, right? Because I'm like, why
Okay.
are these fools in charge? Right? So it really, it resonates on such a level, not only with the human, but then you have words to what you feel inside. You've
Right.
never had those words before. Then you can go, oh, I'm utilizing that energy from pain or pure consciousness.
Okay, so I totally get what you're saying with that. And so for those that are with us, let us know in the comments, have you had thoughts or feelings or experiences that resonate with kind of what Jennifer's describing, right? About like, oh, I've always felt this way, but I never, maybe never knew how to define it or how to put it into words other than whatever you type in the comments to us. But something of that nature. What comes up for you as Jennifer talks about that? And so, okay, so Jennifer, this really brings me into next. How did you discover this?
I asked some really big questions. So I was like, okay, God, that's what I call my higher power.
Okay.
I'm pissed. Where are my people? And I know I'm here to do something big, but I kind of don't know the how of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really mad. I'm really mad. And I was on I was getting a mud wrap. Okay. I was at a retreat. And in the beginning of the day, this woman sat down next to me and she went, we're going to be friends. And I went, totally. Then my inside voice went, why her? And not that woman across the way who looks really nice, but I don't really care if I ever see her again. What is that?
Okay.
So I'm on the mud table and I'm thinking about the day. And I was like, yeah, what is that? And what I heard was soul language. And I was like, oh my God, someone get me a pen. Like, I'm like, get me out of this mud, right? And I started asking questions and kept asking questions for months. And before long, I had this paradigm of 107 core energies of soul spread across 3 categories. And I went back to that woman and I was like, listen, I'm doing this weird thing. And I was wondering if I could identify your languages. And she's like, oh, sure. And we had a language in common. So, of course, we recognize each other. And we would tell stories that were the same outcome, different details, the same exact feeling and outcome. And she'd be like, I really understand what you're talking about there. I've had that experience on such a profound level. And I thought I was the only one. I thought I was crazy. So I'll tell you the experience.
Yeah, please.
So, and she gave the different details of hers, but the core experience was the same. I was at a fire circle, and a bunch of women were around the fire circle, and they were talking. And I said something, and they all looked at me, and they all went back to the conversation at the exact same place that they stopped the conversation, like I hadn't even spoken. And I realized by understanding my soul languages that one of my soul languages is called teacher of integrity. So often I can see where people are out of the consciousness of love, and I offer them the chance to get back in. Well, I must have been doing that, maybe not so consciously, maybe consciously, and they couldn't hear it. And so when I told her that story, she's like, she broke down. She's like, I've had that experience. And I think
Wow.
that that's what's profound about understanding your soul language on a whole nother level. Because when you also meet someone who has a language in common with you, there's such a profound understanding of knowing, and you'll discuss things, and then you get to really start to see the 360 degree, because you not only understand that experience from being in, but you also understand that experience from giving advice and receiving guidance from it as well. And I think it's really amazing when you have that connection with someone, because that alone can create huge healing, which is really just coming into alignment, right?
Yeah.
That real shift of going, oh wait, that's not the truth of me, right? And it wasn't the first experience that I've had at that time about people doing that. And when I finally looked at it and went, wait, I don't need to bring everyone into alignment who doesn't want to be in alignment. I get to let that go. People started stepping up who were ready to be in the consciousness of love, who wanted to be told what I saw. And that's a profound moment. And I think that so many of us in this time are searching for the words so they can, and I'm starting to hate this word, by the way, so they can pivot,
Okay.
as
Okay.
I roll my eyes, but about really truly expressing their divine nature and receiving from it. Well, you need words, and you need a structure to keep turning into that divine nature, right? All the answers are within. We're
Right.
moving to an age where we're not looking outside of ourselves for the answers. We're not looking to our president. We're not looking to our doctors. We're not looking to our churches. We're looking within. But
All
we
starts
need,
right here.
right? We need structure, and we need support in people who ask really good questions. And I ask really good questions. And I think that's why soul language was kind of downloaded, because I didn't stop asking questions. I still keep asking questions. And now other practitioners are asking questions that I could never think of. And so again, it's growing. The information is growing. The wisdom's growing, not the knowledge, right? We all have knowledge. It's wisdom that really propels us forward.
Okay, so many different questions are coming up for me. So I just want to say, for those that are with us, if you have a question, feel free to type it in the comments for yourself, but also for me, because I might forget my own questions, and I'd be happy to read yours. So, okay, so one of the questions that's coming to mind is, are there, so you said there's 107 soul languages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there some that are maybe more common than others?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. That's like a soul language practitioner question. Yes, there are some languages that are more common. So
Okay.
there's a soulful personality language called the intellect, which is the largest tone, which is that category, language on the planet. For obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
Intellect is about, conscious is letting the mind follow the heart. Unconscious, it's just the head, right?
Right. Okay.
And then there are rare languages that we as practitioners hardly see.
Say it again. What kind?
Rare
Oh,
languages.
rare. Okay.
And then there are languages as a practitioner we collect. So I collect languages. I collect pioneers and observers and image makers and highly creative languages. I collect warrior languages like hi, like graceful warriors and peacemakers and huntresses and hunters. But there are rare languages like bodybuilder, which is a tone. I cannot tell you the last time I identified a bodybuilder, right? And then there are waves of energy that comes. So one year I was identifying mentor after mentor after mentor. And by the fourth one, I was like, listen, you're going to want to go on sabbatical. And they're like, oh my God, how do you know? I was like, because you're all wanting to go on sabbatical. So you might as well just let's set it up so you can, because the avoidance is actually causing more disturbance in your life then. So we start to see the waves of energy and chains and how that moves and shifts. So great question, by the way.
Thank you. I got my gold star. Okay. um, on that note, that almost makes me want to go in a different direction with when you talk about waves of energy and what you see coming down the pipeline. What does that bring up for you? Yeah, I know. Do I dare? I don't know.
I mean, like, I did a live a couple weeks ago where I said, listen, I do not want to freaking hear what this virus has to tell me. Please stop sending me videos. Okay. I go, listen, it's just speeded everything up. It was all, our way of being, our new way of being, was going to happen anyway. This just put it on triple forward.
Right.
And I was like, the real heartbreak here are all of those people that have left that didn't really have to. That's the heartbreak, right? That's the heartbreak. That's what I don't know how to kind of put in perspective yet.
Is it possible that they had some sort of, you tell me what terms you want to use, but so some sort of soul contract or language or whatever, that they would be an example for others that are remaining behind?
Yeah, of course, metaphysically, that is the answer. But as a human, I'm not there yet. And I'll be transparent. Like, I teach metaphysics for a living. Like,
I love that.
Like, I'm not there yet, like, listen, if we really, like, the biggest, like, metaphysical, like, look at World War II. Like, all of that, right? All of that came out of all of those souls choosing, right, for us to evolve. So yeah, they took one for the team. I still don't like it. Right.
You know what? I just want to highlight what that aspect of it is. You can be totally conscious and informed and aware and be able to see the bigger picture, and you still have your human experience.
Yeah.
And it's information to work through. I mean, do you want to say more about that? About having that human experience?
It tends to be spiritual bypass and you can hear because I can hear all of the stuff and what people say, right?
Right.
Teacher of integrity, where they go, oh, this is for the greatest good. And I'm like, stop. Like stop doing the spiritual bypass. Stop stuffing your humanness. Like, really, to be conscious and to be evolved, you have to accept all of the emotion. You have to feel it. Listen, I think I just read something about the Dalai Lama that said, listen, all the belief in the world, like, we got to combat this thing. Like, the Dalai Lama is saying, don't just do belief. Like, come on. Right. So,
so the thing that I'm coming up with is it possible to be that person that's saying this is for the greatest good and be in total integrity with that, versus someone who is saying one thing, but energetically there's something else going on underneath the surface?
Yeah, it is possible. Right. And you have to have some serious kick-ass training and be doing your work without any glitches. And I think that those are rare people. David Hawkins measured consciousness. And the consciousness of love, people that are in that all the time,
Right.
that percentage is like 0.005%, right? The Dalai Lama is trained since he's been a peanut, right? Like Jesus, the Son of God. Like,
Yeah.
come on, like, you know. So my practice is really evolving consciousness. And the way I also have to do it is accept I'm human. And, it's hard to come to terms with something as it's still happening.
Right.
And so, yeah, but this is a huge moment. I was just on a call with a practitioner that she was doing an amazing call. And I said, listen, and we were talking in different soul languages. And I was like, listen, she's like, do anyone want to share? I go, yeah, I think I broke the universe. And she goes, what? I was like, well, I kind of just wanted to really be in expansion and really listen and have a deeper relationship with myself and the divine. And I never took the time to do it. And so I think I broke the universe. And I'm kidding. But if you talk to enough healers, they're all saying the same thing, right? So we just wanted time. We wanted stillness. We wanted to regroup. We wanted to reflect. Right? So maybe it's time to move forward in the integration of
Yes.
putting that serious sacred practice, not meditating on a mountain, but really embodying that deep listening and taking action from there.
And so this is one of the reasons what I'm hearing you talk about now is really about getting into that space of flow, which requires you to honor that human experience you're having and any feelings that aren't, in the space of love and peace and all of that, right?
Yeah.
As they show up, honor them, like feel them, learn from them, release them, and then find your way back up.
Yeah.
And if and when it happens again, and I shouldn't even say if, when it happens again, you dip back down, then you do it again. And you cultivate that practice, knowing where you want to be, but also being present with what is.
Yeah.
And
you can't have a beautiful song with only high or low notes. You need the entire scale.
that's
And
beautiful.
I think so many metaphysical people try to just do a high scale. And it's actually not conscious.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I see, and I know this for myself too. I see the desire to want to help and to serve and uplift and all of that. And so, I mean, none of us alive today have ever been through a pandemic, I mean, come on. And so, I can totally get how it can set some people into like, their own panic mode, right? And like, okay, no, we're just going to focus on this. And then they're also going to be having their own human experience and saying, wait a second, this is happening to me too. And how can I help others if I'm not helping myself first? And I know that was a huge part of my experience, like a few weeks ago, like, oh crap, I can't do anything. Like I have to just feel this right now. And be in it and flow with it. And the thing that is just so important to me is that, okay, you can be present with it, feel it, learn from it, all of it, and remember your power to shift. Like it's not you just be present with it and then like, oh, that's it, life sucks. Yeah. You actually have the ability to shift. And I think that's what we're doing. We're creating a new world. And it's like, what do we want to create? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're creating evolution.
Okay.
I think the old way of being and doing hasn't served anyone. And I think, where some of us are being forced, some of us are being guided, some of us are being led to really determine how we want to be the individualization of the one on this planet.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy road. Like there's a lot of things that we have to look at and things that we have to love and things that we have to transform and change, you know? Um, we've got a lot of polarity. And I don't, I love my free will, right? That's God's greatest gift for us, free will, right? The choice to know we're whole and complete. So it's about really aligning, I've been starting to twitch that we're all in this together. Well, we've all been all in this together. So why now are we just all in this together, right? Like, okay, so who came up with that catchphrase? Like, what PR person? And I know because I used to be that PR person, right? Like, who came up with that catchphrase? And where was the person that went, we've always been all in this together? Like, someone's going to start to like bark at that, right?
Well, I say we're all in this together, but I get what you're saying. So yeah.
We've always been all in this together. So why now?
Well, I think now because people are feeling the pain of having been so separated, not just from other people, but from themselves.
Right.
That fires me up.
Right.
And go ahead.
So how do we really want to be in this all together?
Right.
Like, are we going to start not doing lip service to that? Or are we really going to really come together as individualizations of the one and be in community and be the best parts of humans that we can be? And I think that's the goal. That's my goal. And sometimes I'm really good at it, and sometimes I suck at it. And, it's about really finding that guidance within that we start listening to, because when I'm really doing what's in my greatest good, really, truthfully, then I'm doing what's in everyone's greatest good.
Right.
And that's a world I want to live in.
Okay, so I want to take it back to soul language. And this is really fascinating. If you joined us, after we've been talking for a while, Jennifer is the founder of Soul Language. And it's not quite intuition. It's something different, similar, but different, kind of, right? And so, Jennifer, you were talking about the different soul languages. There are 107 of them, and how, you're kind of talking about, birds of a feather flock together, or right, you have a resonance with those who are in your same soul language tribe. Is that a word? Is that a word that makes you cringe?
That word, I like that word. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're talking about that brought up for me a memory. And certainly I felt people that I'm like, ooh, they're my family. We're not blood, but they're my family. And so I know who those people are for me. And I've had another experience once with someone, and I'm just curious if this is kind of along the lines of what you're describing too. So there was one time I was just walking. I'm going to try to be vague, by the way. So I was walking, and I walked past a person that I've never met before. And the second I saw this person, I literally felt like a very memorable zing. I'd never had that experience ever in my life, and of course after that, then I'm, me and this person connected and whatever. But that was just so profound. It has not left me and has always felt very meaningful. And I'm curious what you would say about that.
Well, that's pretty complicated. I mean, not to read into the situation without your permission, but that feels more like, some sort of soulmate situation. And I really don't, there's this idea of soulmates, like they're the one. We have a lot of soulmates, by the way, people. Like, don't get on Disney's bandwagon. It sounds like that's a soulmate situation, right?
Okay.
So that's what the zing was. It could also be that you have a language in common or two, but without being evasive, it really feels like it was a soulmate situation.
Well, okay. And I would agree with that. And on that note, though, I've met some other people who I would also say were a soulmate, and I never had that experience with them. So why would it happen in one versus others?
Because it depends on how many times you've gone around the bat together.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So if I'll tell you one of. Well, I want to tell you the story, but I kind of put him in the freezer. So okay,
Oh, okay. The
so there
metaphorical
was this,
freezer, by the way.
so there was this person I knew who I knew that we had experiences with each other throughout centuries, right? So we would do this really weird thing, and we did it simultaneously without even like thinking about it. We would grab each other's arms like this, which is a warrior's greeting. And when we did it, I went, everything, like I saw like tens and tens and tens of like lives. And I was like, oh, there was the zing. So I think it feels like to me it's about, how many times,
Okay.
right? Like, and the different aspects of those lifetimes, right? So, that zing might be, you've been lovers in like 6 out of your 10 lifetimes.
Interesting.
Like that's
Okay.
a lot of concentrated energy, to come in contact with and go, boom. I've with the same person. I realized when I met him, that all of my previous boyfriends had little pieces of him.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like I was like, oh, look, there's so and so's eyes. Look, right? Now with Warner, who is my forever, I realize now that they were all grabbing little pieces of who Warner is, right?
Wow.
So, we recognize when we're searching for something, we recognize the little pieces in the final destination, right?
Okay. We have Alina with us who's saying soul contract.
Yeah, I mean, soul contract, we're putting silly human words, right?
The best we can do, though, right?
Right? So yeah, you could have had a soul, but soul contracts usually are soulmate relationships in general are pretty difficult, and they're probably wrapped up in soul contracts as well, because there's always that added pressure to get it right with your soul, that
Right.
soulmate, right?
Thinking it's supposed to be forever and look a certain way.
I was really clear when I was welcoming in Warner that I wanted someone who I profoundly loved and who profoundly loved me, who we had a connection, but was more human than all full of metaphysics. Because I was like, I've done that, and that isn't fun on a human level sometimes, right? And Warner and I are extremely connected. Like we can finish each other's sentences, and I will say something, he'll be like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking that." The other day, he's in Pennsylvania now for 2 weeks because he's stuck there, and I was like, "I made applesauce today." He's like, "What?" He's like, "I was totally thinking about making applesauce." Like those are the type of things that happen.
Okay.
But I didn't want a relationship based on metaphysics. So, when you think it's a soul contract, that's the time where I would sit down with someone and we would go to the karma board and we would work that out. But there's so many different questions to ask rather than just assuming it's a soul contract.
So yeah, Alina is also saying reconnecting to finish a contract from a past life. And another question, that's a great question, Alina. Thank you for throwing those in the comments here. Along those lines, the other phrase that's coming up, and I'm, this isn't the direction I was planning on taking this interview. But I know you know so much, and so the other phrase that's coming up is twin flame. I know that that's been getting a lot of airtime in a lot of places lately. Would you like to acknowledge how that plays into all of this, or could?
Here's what I want everyone to know about twin flames, soulmates, past lives. I think so often we use that metaphysical mumbo jumbo in this life as a crutch and as an excuse.
Okay.
And that's really something, I always say, listen, past lives have no present. They have no right here. And I always do an exercise to clear all of those loopholes. So, I think this is all information to support our growth and our evolution and our goodness here. If you're utilizing it in a healthy way, or you're going to get my eye roll when people go, well, I've had so many lifetimes where, I haven't been able to speak my truth. Great. Let's clear that and stop using it as a crutch.
Right.
When you're not to do what you want to do here.
I totally get that. Yes. So not allowing the terms or the phrases to become an excuse to not do the work, to move beyond it. And
yeah,
heal.
not only that, but as a way to be metaphysical, as a way to set yourself apart. So one of the things I also roll my eyes at is I'm such an old soul. Great. Like, so you keep coming back because you can't get it right. Like, there's this sometimes where when we're discovering all this stuff, there's this tendency, which is a very human tendency, but doesn't help our consciousness and is not very loving to ourselves because it's really judgmental, is I'm this and you're that. Right?
Oh yeah, always. Ew, yes.
Yeah, right. So I'm an old soul. And I always go, mm-hmm.
No, yeah, we don't want any of those labels to be something that allows anybody to think they're more superior than someone else or anything of that sort. Never, never, never. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer, I want to talk to you about soul language again. So I'm right here. Okay. So soul languages, how does it help a person to know what their soul language is? Like, what is the difference that it makes in their life once they know what theirs is and how to receive messages more clearly and all of that?
It makes a difference because it's the difference between text messaging yourself when your phone is auto correcting yourself, and versus having a one-on-one, clear in-person conversation. So the guidance is crystal clear. You can connect. There's a structure of connection. There's a way of understanding when you're operating from pain. And we all know when we're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's the shift that we all go, huh. So really understanding how to and what questions to ask from pain to consciousness. It helps from anything from putting your elevator speech together to understanding, on just a personality level, why, for me, why I made war with everything. So it's such an in-depth thing that the information is always allows you to embody more of your essential nature. So other paradigms, and I love paradigms, right? But other paradigms, what they do is they give you a blueprint where people then can use their mind to stay in their story and use their mind to look at that information to try to improve on themselves. By understanding your soul languages, you're going to know fundamentally there's nothing to improve. You're whole and complete. Your soul is here to remind you and help you shift you back to wholeness and completeness, because from there, you're the master of your universe. You can learn to snap your fingers and so be it. And I mean that not in a judgmental way. I mean an individualization of the one. And I think that talking to my soul, I'm still always amazed. And I'm still always, oh, my human just sometimes doesn't get it. I never feel alone when I'm talking to my soul. Never. And I think the structure to do that and the understanding to do that has a profound impact on creating your life.
We have some awesome questions here from Alina. She's saying, it looks like she's basically asking like for some, do you have any fascinating stories of clients that you've worked with who, their life has just totally changed from not knowing their soul language and now knowing?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like 500 testimonials on my site. So often there's this deep, the dog just burped, deep sense of acceptance. There's this deep sense of freedom. I've had people shift careers and start a successful business or an entrepreneurship. I've had people start to write their book that they've always wanted to write. I've had people, there was one person who said, like, knowing your soul language is like liquid nitrogen, right? It goes to the core of the problem. One woman said to me, because I do a discovery session where I identify one of your soul languages, one woman said to me, I've been seeing a therapist for 15 years. We talked for 15 minutes and the pattern isn't there.
Wow.
So, it gives you this profound sense of safety. It helps release trauma. And listen, if you feel like you can't speak your truth, if you feel like you're a wallflower, if you feel like you're hiding out, you have trauma. Doesn't matter what kind, but that trauma has caused you to go very, very small because that's how you're kept safe. Your soul is the only thing that can get you out of that. So, we've identified 5,000 people last count. So, and with 30 practitioners. So what's happening is we could talk about all of the change of suffering. What I can't really put into words is that intimate, deep connection that people feel and how that creates transformation and transcendence in their lives, because that's indescribable. That's
Right.
personal. Our pain is kind of boring. We all have the same pain. The details might be different, but it's all the same struggle, right? But that deep connection, that deep knowing that you are of value because you are a soul is profound. And it allows you to really connect to the infinite and make those bounds of moving from the impossible to the possible. I wouldn't be here. Like, my own story, I spent 17 years in marketing PR. I was the girl that people would call to get them on Oprah. And I wasn't allowed to talk to clients because I was so angry. And I was miserable. And I was at war with everything. And I was lonely. And I was fearful all the time. I mean, I would sit in my bed and hope that the refrigerator came on, because the last time the refrigerator died, it was a major I had a major upset in my life, and the same time the refrigerator died. And I haven't thought about the refrigerator going on and off in years, but for years I would sit there tormented, please God, please make the refrigerator go on, because the refrigerator was my key to safety. So
Wow.
I think that understanding your soul languages helps you know that you are innately safe. And from there, you make decisions based on that, not based on the external world. And we only have a lot of internal world at the moment. So I
Right.
hope that answers the question.
I think it did. Yes. As Alina is saying, as a spiritual advisor, I have gotten that feedback as well regarding therapy versus seeing versus them seeing me. So I relate to that. So awesome, Alina. Thank you for sharing that. And you know what? What's coming up for me is that, because this is just so fascinating, and I can just imagine how helpful this is. So what is it like? What is the process like for someone? There's clearly the assessment at the beginning, and then are there sessions after that, or is it okay?
Yeah, so we always start with a soul language ID session, which is a 60-minute session. We identify all three of the languages. I'm visual among my other clairs, so we talk to the individual languages and then we bring the soul together. Each session is personal because we're going to deal with the main themes, the main theme of discontent. And it's always the main theme of discontent, meaning people will go, oh, I want to rid myself of being not enough. Well, the not enough is there for a reason, because it allows you to choose consciousness. So as you evolve, it's still going to come up more sneaky. But so we'll work on an area of expansion. Then they can have their business soul languages ID'd, because your business has a soul. You call it in to do something bigger, first for yourself, and then for others. And I do some programs, but I really customize a program with someone because I'm a spiritual renegade, so I'm not going to do it like anyone else does it. So sometimes I do a sacred mission session with someone. So a lot of people think they know their sacred purpose. And when you ask them, they're like, well, I'm here to help women be empowered from ages. And I'm like, no, that's not your sacred purpose. That's what you do. It's not your sacred purpose. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, my sacred purpose is about connection. That's my sacred purpose for me first, and then offering that to others.
Nice.
Right. And so then the delivery systems can fall into place.
Okay.
And then, it's custom. And then if you want to be a practitioner, that's a 3-month process. And we do it all energetically, which is really cool.
Very cool. Okay. And we're not done yet, but just on that note, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Sure. soullanguage.us is the website. My email is jennifer@knowsoulslanguage.net. I pick up my own phone. I answer my own email. So reach out if you have a question. If you want a discovery session, which is not normally what I do anymore, let me know. I'd be happy to offer it to anyone watching.
Awesome. Very generous. Thank you. And all that information should be also in the description of this video live here on Facebook. Jennifer, I want to ask you about trauma. So the question that was coming up for me when you were talking about trauma is, what would you say to a person who believes that they actually haven't experienced any trauma in this lifetime? And and they may come to you with the phrase of, I'm trying to think what the example was that you just gave, the one about, I want to finally feel enough.
Yeah. Everyone has experienced trauma. Everyone. It doesn't have to be, trauma that makes you want to curl up in the fetal position, but everyone has experienced trauma. And there's I think so often people go, well, it wasn't really traumatic, because they're comparing themselves to what they consider a serious trauma.
Right.
That small thing had a huge impact. So I'll give you a personal story. So when I was in, I think it's 6th grade, I had a math teacher. I think it was math, who was like, well, I don't know how we got on it, but he forced me to, he's like, well, how do you spell enough? And right in class. And I couldn't spell it. Like, I kept spelling 8, right? A, I had a little bit of dyslexia at the time, right? I had to work that out. And B, I was so nervous. And he was like, what are you, stupid? You can't spell enough. Now, little trauma in the scale of traumas.
Right.
But that little trauma left such a huge impact on my life that it took me years to feel safe enough to speak up and be heard, right? So everyone's had trauma. The not enough is a world condition, and I think it's a human soul misinterpretation. So the soul is always saying more, 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 and the human hears it as not enough, not enough. And so it's about adjusting it. And it's also about feeling safe, because that's what the not enough is driving, right? All fears is just one fear about not feeling safe. So when I teach people about what to activate, I was like, always activate safety. So
hold on. Now, couldn't safety have an implication that if I'm activating safety, then there's a form of lack within me thinking that I'm not safe?
Well, part of you think you are not safe.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
right. You're not talking to the soul when you're activating safety. You're talking to the human and the cells, right? So another thing that drives me bonkers is when people go, my soul is crying. No, your soul is whole and complete. There's no dark night of the soul. It's your humanness that is having problems. So that's why soul language is so impactful, because we're talking to the human via the soul in a way the human can understand.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we've had people come in and out throughout today's show, and I'm just wondering, would you mind recapping what the 3 different pieces are to the soul language for those who?
Sure. Axioma quest, which is a sophisticated way of saying your mission. Axioma translation, which is how you fuel that mission and how you'll be known. And then tone, which is your soulful personality. So my mission language is called equalizer. It's all about balance, first for myself and then for others, creating that formula.
Okay.
How I'll be known here and the fuel of my mission is called teacher of integrity. All my life I've been able to see, hear, understand where people are out of the consciousness of love.
Wow.
I offer them the chance to get back in, which means back into that perfect formula of balance for themselves. How my soul prefers to go through life is a graceful warrior. Action, courage, and grace. Of course, all of this when I'm conscious. So my one-liner is I create balance for myself and others through love, integrity, and courage. There was a question about what do I see myself doing next?
Yes.
I've created just recently something called the Business of Soul Principles, which are 4 principles about creating a conscious business. So conscious power, conscious community, conscious receiving, and conscious action. So that's what I'm doing in tandem with soul language next. So great question.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today. Before we completely wrap up here, is there anything left that you would like to say or leave our audience with?
Yeah, I want them to remember that they're whole and complete. And if they forget or they need the shift, not to wallow there alone. And if there's shame in their energy field, that you need support. Shame is no judgment, by the way, because we all have it, but it's a very low vibration and it needs support. There's not enough life force in that area, that situation, to rise above the consciousness scale. You actually need support. That's why victims of domestic and sexual abuse need support to release that. So reach out to someone who is going to be consciously supporting you. I think that's key. Don't ever reach out to anyone who, when you leave them, as William Burroughs would say, you feel like you've lost a quart of plasma.
Oh,
right? Really leave someone going, I feel not because they're making you feel that way, but because they're reminding you that you're whole and complete.
I love it. That's a beautiful way to end. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything you shared with us. And we have our live audience here saying thank you. Great discussion. Definitely resonating. Betty says, I have been there in that situation. So Jennifer, thank you so much. This was so timely and just beautiful in how I know it can serve people in so many ways for what's coming up right now. If you're on the replay, let us know what came up for you throughout this conversation. And definitely reach out to Jennifer if what she's talked about sounds like it's resonating for you, because I'm fascinated by it. It's amazing. So anyway, with that said, I hope you have an amazing day. And just like Jennifer was saying about remembering that you're, to be whole, someone, being in a space of knowing that you're whole and knowing who you are, join us. If this is resonating for you, join us every day at 9 a.m. Pacific time over on the Every Day is a New Day show and coaching page here on Facebook for Rise and Shine, because we are all practicing getting into alignment together and just being playful and having fun with it as well. So excellent time for you to be able to practice with other people in a safe, supportive space, because that is all that I hold. And if you'd like to take it deeper, definitely check out Jennifer's work and connect with her, because I invited her on here today because I personally had a conversation with her last year and I was blown away and absolutely felt that safe space with you, Jennifer. So that's a big part of it. Yeah. So with that said, remember, wherever you are today does not have to be where you are tomorrow. every day is a new day. Have an amazing evening, everybody. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.
And that's today's show. So, what are you taking away? Let me know down in the comments wherever you listened or watched today's episode, and connect with me on Facebook on the Every Day is a New Day show and coaching page, or visit KimO'NeillCoaching.com for more info. Remember, every day is always a new day. Wherever you are today does not have to be where you are tomorrow. There is always hope, and you will always be amazing. I'll see you next time.